I'm Nadia Ealing, and welcome to today's discussion around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the role it plays in our business units and Dominion Energy's success as a whole. We've created this podcast to showcase Grid Resiliency's programs while featuring our top leaders and subject matter experts who broaden the program and highlight the strides it's making. In this episode, Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Employee Engagement Maria Tamburri and Strategic Underground Program Marketing and Communications Coordinator Deon Wright discuss the importance of DE&I and how integral its principles are as we continue to focus on excellent customer service and equitable business practices. Thank you both for being with me. Maria, the first question goes to you. And I'd like if you could discuss the importance of DE&I principles within our business environment and how they need to have a trickle-down effect on how we serve our customers and our communities.
Thank you so much, Nadia. We serve diverse communities. We want to make sure that our company is diverse so we can really have that representation within our company to understand their needs and to be able to serve them better. We have strategy around D&I that has been very successful, and we see D&I as a part of everything we do. We want to make sure that when it comes to recruiting and to our workforce representation, have the broadest pool of talent, the best talent, to really make us more innovative, agile, and a stronger company. There's been so many studies that really talk about sort of that business case of D&I, which is really important. What different perspectives, different views really bring to companies. And that's that innovation, and that's that outside the box thinking that will make us more successful as a company. Having those insights and be able to foretell what's going to happen, what the challenges and our opportunities are going to be, better recruiting, and also that commitment to D&I increases retention from our employees so they can continue to work for our company and really bring their whole selves to work. D&I not only will drive our success as a company, but it's also the right thing to do. And we look at it as a business imperative at Dominion Energy.
Thank you, Maria. Deon, how are the principles Maria just touched on utilized in SUP's commitment to stellar and consistent customer service and how we treat and approach our customers?
Thank you, Maria, first for sharing the Dominion leadership perspective, and Nadia for the question. I think with Strategic Underground, a small part of the bigger puzzle that goes into place here, Maria addressed the diverse communities in which we serve, which I think is a huge part of the program here. You have properties that are out on River Road, which are like $1 million houses. And then you have communities right in Northside where I live, where there's somewhat smaller communities. You have like the elderly people who are 80, 90 years old. So we take the time with Strategic Underground to make sure that we're able to include everybody, whether they are educated on the process or not, and make sure that we explain to them fully everything that needs to happen with the program. I like to refer to it all the time as the Chick-fil-A customer service model, because we all have been to Chick-fil-A, and I think we're all smiling by the time we leave because they always tell you my pleasure and the service that's dedicated with that. And then the last thing that I'll just speak on, Maria touched on retention is influenced by D&I. I think that's great because we use a multitude of contractors to do majority of the work, whether it's professional services or the design portions of the job. But we're able to go into various communities to be able to connect with our customers and make sure that we impact them and improve our service reliability as a whole.
Maria, would you walk me through Dominion's pledge to utilize and be mindful of social and environmental justice practices as it furthers programs like the Strategic Underground Program, among others?
Thank you, Nadia. That's a great question. I will start with saying that social and economic justice matters. We have many programs, financial assistance, environmental justice assessments, and helping rural communities bridge the digital divide with broadband. So I think it's really important. I think Deon touched upon it. It's just listening, hearing what communities are saying, hearing what our customers are saying, and responding. That's where our environmental justice policy and practices come from. I'm sure you're where we have a environmental justice policy that we started about 4 years ago. We're going into our 5th year, which really ensures that historically marginalized communities are not harmed by our infrastructure development initiatives or excluded from benefits from projects. Being able to get that listening perspective. And I think, this is where programs like Strategic Underground, as Deon talked about, is incredibly important. What I love about this program is really kind of thinking ahead, trying to be proactive and helping these communities have better infrastructure. So if there's a storm or an outage happens, they will be served more promptly, which I think is wonderful. It's incredibly important for us to look at our social and environmental justice practices and be able to listen to our communities and understand them better so we're able to serve them better across the board.
I would just like to piggyback on some of the things you said. Again, very candid and great responses. The major thing I got from that, what you said, is the active listening. We listen to our customers, see exactly how the different scenarios impact them as a whole, and we can do to kind of partner with them to get it all done. We're trying to improve the grid and put the services underground. Because let's just be honest, sometimes if the service goes out during a major storm, people who are in the underserved communities might not have enough discretionary income or resources to try to hurry up and get their power restored, where somebody else might have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, Deon, and I think, it's leveling the playing field, right? And that's what equity is. It's been able to give people opportunities. And I think that's what's really great about that program.
Thank you both. I love hearing about the theme of equity and how important it is, not only in Strategic Underground, but for our entire company. Thank you, Maria and Deon. All right, the last question is for both of you. And I'd love if you could offer some practical ways on how to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion into your daily work life. So, Deon, I'll start with you.
Okay, Nadia, that's a great question. Thank you so much. I just have three things that I kind of highlight that comes to mind for me in regards to this. Be aware of unconscious bias. If we understand the bias and we have to build awareness to it, and that will eventually make a real change in the world that we live in. And we have to communicate the importance of managing bias. Cultural humility is huge. This will foster a more inclusive environment. And the last thing that's important to me is making sure that people are able to participate in the employee resource groups. I know that I'm very actively involved with one right now, and it gives me a chance to connect with different people from various paths within the company to come together to impact some change.
Thank you, Deon. I love what you said about cultural humility. That is so important. Also, I would add respect each other. Make sure that you're always respectful to one another and learn. It's great when you are in a group of people at work, and I think you can always learn from one another. You can be different or you can be alike, but there's experiences that you have that are unique. And I think learning from those experiences is a great opportunity to be able to connect. We've talked about listening to our communities, but I think it's listening to each other as well and making sure that you understand where each one of us comes from, which ties very much so with humility and respect. And I completely agree. I think ERGs are with Deon, ERGs are a great opportunity to learn about different communities, learn about different cultures, be able to connect with employees across the company. I'm the executive sponsor of OLA, and I love the group, and I'm also a member of all the ERGs. Every time I go to one of the events, I learn something new, and I love that. That's some ways that you can learn and exercise diversity, equity, and inclusion in your work on a daily basis.
Now, just add that you said we need to always be in a constant state of mind about learning. What I learned a long time ago, and I tell my kids all the time, you're in a team, and sometimes your idea might not be implemented, but I'll tell them all the time, you didn't lose. Because we don't lose, we learn. And that's what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Maria, Deon, any final points you'd like to drive home?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion is huge. I am proud to work for a company that's taken a stance to move forward, to try to be inclusive with everything that we do. I think for a while we got stuck in the neck trying to figure out how we can kind of digest this through to make sure that we're including everybody, but I think we were making the right steps going forward. So thank you so much again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Deon. I agree 100% with what you said. I'm incredibly proud every day to come to work and work for a company that believes diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's pivotal to our success. It is incredibly important to be a diverse company for all the reasons that we talked about. But equity and inclusion are as important as we continue our journey. Thank you for having us.
I'd like to thank Maria Tamburri and Deon Wright for their expertise and participation. You can learn more about the Strategic Underground program at dominionenergy.com/underground and also learn about Dominion Energy's commitment to DE&I at dominionenergy.com/diversity. Thanks for listening and be on the lookout for future episodes. I'm Nadia Ely.